So in this video, we'll study Yersinia pestis, which causes plague. Okay, so the tribe Yersinia comprises of the genus Yersinia, and there are three well-established human pathogens. So Yersinia pestis is a rodent-borne zoonotic disease which causes the plague. Okay, you obviously know rats and rat fleas. So Xenopsilla chiopsis, it is the vector. Okay, so the reservoirs are rodents. Okay, so Yersinia pseudotuberculosis and Yersinia enterocolitica, they cause yersiniosis, not the plague. They cause yersiniosis, which is a self-limiting gastrointestinal disease, enterocolitica. Okay, moving on to plague pandemics, there were three pandemics till now. So the first pandemic, it was caused by Medievalis. Second pandemic in the 14th century, it was caused by Antiqua biotype. And the third pandemic, it was caused by the biotype Orientalis because it affected China and India mainly. So basically, this third pandemic happened in 1894, and in 1896, from Hong Kong, the pandemic entered India and millions of people were killed. Okay, afterwards there was a gradual decline from 1920, and in the 1970s onwards, from then on there were no plague cases that were reported. Moving on to a timeline of plague in India. So in 1994, there was the Surat epidemic. In 2002, there was the Shimla epidemic. And then in 2004, there was the Uttarkashi outbreak. So in 1994, the Surat epidemic started from the Beed-Latur belt in Maharashtra, and pneumonic plague spread to Surat in Gujarat and adjoining regions in Gujarat. There were 60 deaths in 2 months. The Shimla outbreak in 2002, there was a short outbreak at Roru near Shimla in Himachal Pradesh. There were 4 deaths there. In 2004, in the Uttarkashi outbreak, it was a localized outbreak of bubonic plague, and 8 cases and 3 deaths in Dangud village of Uttarkashi district, Uttaranchal. Okay, so the Surat epidemic in 1994, it was that of the pneumonic plague, whereas 2004, the Uttarkashi outbreak was that of the bubonic plague. It was a localized outbreak. Next, there are 4 potential endemic foci of plague in India. So in the south you have Kolar, Karnataka, and then in Maharashtra you have the Beed-Latur belt. Okay, from where these plague spread to Surat and caused the Surat epidemic of Surat epidemic of 1994. And then you have Roru and Shimla in Himachal Pradesh, and near Shimla in Himachal Pradesh, and Dangud village in Uttaranchal. Okay, all of these are 4 potential endemic foci of plague in India. So the reservoir are obviously rats, wild rodents, field mice, and bandicoot. Source of infection, again you have wild rodents and rat fleas. And vector is the rat flea Xenopsilla chiopsis, which is the most efficient North Indian variant, and Xenopsilla astia is the less efficient South Indian counterpart. So moving on to the epidemiological factors and the mode of transmission. So bite of an infected rat flea is the most common one, and direct contact with tissues of an infected animal and droplet inhalation from man to man in case of pneumonic plague, they are less common nowadays. Moving on to the blocked flea. So basically the bacilli, the plague bacilli, Yersinia bacilli, multiply enormously in the gut of the flea, and then they block the proventriculus of the insect. So when it tries to make an effort to suck blood, it regurgitates the blood mixed with the bacteria into the bite and transmits the infection. So contamination of bite wound with feces of infected fleas is also a cause, and partially blocked flea is more dangerous than a completely blocked flea, because completely blocked flea might not regurgitate the bacterium containing blood back into the bite wound. Next, the extrinsic intubation period is 2 weeks for Xenopsilla chiopsis, and the Chiopsis index is basically an average number of Xenopsilla chiopis per rat, and it is the most significant flea index. If the Chiopis index is greater than 1, that means an outbreak is likely. Seasonality, so in North India it is from September to May, and in South India it is throughout the year. Then moving on to the virulence factors of Y pestis. So basically you have the F1, which is a capsular proteinaceous antigen. It is encoded by a plasmid, so PFRA. So it acts by inhibiting phagocytosis by the macrophage. Okay, it is highly antigenic, and it is used as an immunodiagnostic marker of infection. Then in the other virulence factors, you have phospholipase D, which is the murine toxin, and lipopolysaccharides, which are the endotoxins. Then you have proteases and adhesins. Adhesins help in attachment. And then you have pigments, hemin containing pigments. We'll talk about this later. And also siderophores for iron acquisition. Okay, so you have three clinical types of human plague. You have bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic plague. So bubonic plague is the most common type, and it is transmitted by the bite of an infected Xenopsilla chiopus. So bacilli pass through the local lymphatics. The bubonic plague causes buboes, which are tender swellings because of the infection of regional lymph nodes, which become tense and tender. Okay. So bubonic plague affects the lymphatics, so local lymphatics, regional lymph nodes, and then they multiply there. Incubation period is 2 to 7 days, and there is a sudden onset fever, malaise and headache, and lymph nodes are affected. It's a painful lymphadenitis, and it cannot spread from person to person. So obviously, what do? From the buboes, you collect pus or fluid, and you take that as a specimen. So the common nodes affected are the inguinal lymph nodes, but the other ones are axillary, cervical, or submaxillary. So here you can see buboes because of lymph nodes becoming tender and swelling up. Pneumonic plague, it is spread by the inhalation of bacilli in the droplets expelled from another person or an animal with plague pneumonia. The incubation period is 1 to 3 days. So manifestation is sudden onset fever, headache, and this time respiratory symptoms, not lymphadenitis. It is rare but highly infectious and highly fatal, and hence can be used as an agent of bioterrorism. So what is the sample you will collect? Obviously the sputum specimen or the blood specimen. Next, septicemic plague. The secondary septicemic plague is more common than primary, and it is caused from spread of bubonic or pneumonic plague. The incubation period is again similar to bubonic, 2 to 7 days. There are hemorrhages in the skin and the mucosa, and there is gangrene of the affected site, which is black death. Okay. So what are the samples you will collect? So blood and postmortem splenic aspirate. Okay, so that is what is shown in the slide. Now moving on to the lab diagnosis of gram staining. The Yersinia pestis is gram-negative, non-motile Coccobacilli. There are many morphological forms. They could be cocci, they could be bacilli, they could be Coccobacilli, etc. They're surrounded by a capsule, so that is why you have the capsular antigen, which is the F1 antigen or fraction 1 antigen. And then remember, where there is a will, there is a way. So where, okay, so here there is a will, there is a way. So way, sun. Okay, there's a way, sun. Here there's a will, there's a way. So A sun stain or methylene blue stain. There is bipolar or safety pin appearance. So lab diagnosis, so it is aerobic and facultatively anaerobic. So blood agar, there are dark brown pigmented colonies because of absorption of hemin. We talked about that, right? Pigments are also a form of virulence factors. So absorption of hemin causes dark brown pigmented colonies which are non-hemolytic on blood agar. On MacConkey agar, they are lactose non-fermenting. Next, moving on to the gram staining. So pleomorphism is seen. They could be coccid, they could be coccobacillary, bacillary, filamentous, and giant forms. And moving on to the motility, Y. pestis is non-motile both at 25 and 37 degrees Celsius, but other Yersinia are motile at 25 and non-motile at 37 degrees Celsius. And lab diagnosis, remember that Yersinia is only catalase positive, everything else is negative. So indole is negative, oxidase is negative, citrate is negative, urease is negative, and triple sugar iron agar, TSI agar, test shows alkaline or acid, gas absent, and H2S absent. Maldit off and rapid accurate identification of Y. pestis, and also to differentiate its three biotypes. And laboratory diagnosis, you can detect the F1 antigen from buboaspirate or sputum by direct immunofluorescence, ELISA or ICT. So ELISA, you can do passive agglutination or CFT, and there is limited diagnostic value to detect the antibodies to the F1 antigen by using ELISA, but it is useful as an epidemiological marker. And you can do PCR of the gene encoding the F1 antigen, the pesticin gene, and the plasminogen activator gene. And treatment, earlier we used to give streptomycin for 10 days, but now gentamicin is superior, and hence it is currently recommended for treatment. Levofloxacin has been recently approved for treatment and for post-exposure prophylaxis. So alternative drugs, you can use doxycycline and chloramphenicol. Beta-lactams and macrolides are not recommended as a response is poor. So prevention is by control of cases by early diagnosis, isolation and treatment of cases, control of fleas by the use of effective insecticides such as DDT or BHC, and control of rodents, and chemoprophylaxis. So all contacts of pneumonic plague, so doxycycline or levofloxacin for 7 days. And vaccines for prevention of an anticipated outbreak and not for general use. So you have the formalin-killed vaccine, which is subcutaneous, 2 doses, 4 weeks apart, booster after 6 months. Protection is short-lasting, and it is not protective against pneumonic plague and has considerable side effects. So it is a live attenuated weakened vaccine based on the strain EV76. So while writing live attenuated vaccine, right? So EV, reverse EV, and just put it upside down, you get 76. So EV76, it is still used in countries of the former Soviet Union and it has significant side effects.